So, just to start off, I think there is so much to talk about with this
There's
album.
plenty, yes.
Yeah, so Demi Lovato just put out her seventh studio album, Dancing with the Devil, also known as The Art of Starting Over. I guess that's like, how would you say she says it as the full title? Like, just as I said it, Danae?
Yeah, Dancing with the Devil. I think on the thing it's like Dance with the Devil dot 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 the art of starting over. She had said she was originally just going to call it the art of starting over, but then she wanted to put that Dancing with the Devil piece in because that's like how the story originated. So then
Mhm.
she changed it last minute, which I actually really like because it kind of tells both stories.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because one thing that really stood out to me with the album and how it's structured is that the first three songs, Anyone, Dancing with the Devil, and then I See You,
Hmm.
come before like this intro where she's just kind of talking about her experience.
Right.
What did you think of that? Like how she kind of had these, and they're all kind of like softer songs, like ballads in
Hmm.
a way. What did you think
Right.
of how she structured the album in that sense that it was like, she opened up with songs before having an intro, and then she went into more of the album.
Yeah. I loved that because it's exactly what she wanted to do with telling a story from top to bottom. She kind of started with what happened with the overdose in 2018, the aftermath of that, being in the hospital, and then the intro is kind of the intro to starting over, which is where she is now. So I thought that was the perfect structure for the album. And she had said she wanted people to listen to it from top to bottom because it tells that story. And I think that does that perfectly.
Yeah, just to let people know, how much of a Demi Lovato fan would you say you are? Because before we got on, you were saying you've had this album on for like a week,
uh,
I think you said.
I'm like top tier. I've been a fan since like she started back in like 2008. So I was like a little young teenager. And yeah, I've been a fan ever since. And I've seen her live like hundreds of times. So it's been a journey.
Yeah. And something else that like I've seen a lot of media outlets put out with this album is they've explored the different eras of Demi and how
Hmm.
she's kind of gone, like everyone knows she got her start on Disney Channel in
Right.
2008 with her first album, Don't Forget. And then Here We Go Again, and Unbroken was like a huge record for her. How
Yeah.
do you think like she's really progressed as an artist and like, from all seeing her go through all of these different eras, where do you think she's at now in her career?
I think now she's at this place where she's finally making music like for herself. I feel like she used to make it for the radio or what her team or record label wanted. And now she's just doing what she wants to do. And you can kind of tell because the sound's totally changed. I just think it's matured a lot over the years. I
Mhm.
love the early stuff just because that's like when it started. She was a teenager, it was different then. But I definitely think you can hear not only in the music, but also in the lyrics of how much she's grown up over the years and how much her sound has changed.
And something with this album specifically that I think is super important to mention is the docu-series that she put out on
Hmm.
YouTube. I've been having like multiple conversations recently and just how important the context is
Hmm.
to like music and artists and their work. And this is something that I think you need to watch in order to really fully understand the album.
100%. Yeah,
And like,
she has called it like the unofficial soundtrack of the docuseries, and I think that's exactly what it is.
yeah, and I can't remember exactly who it was in one of the episodes. Maybe it was Scooter Braun that said that she just says exactly what she thinks in her
Uh-huh.
songwriting. Like she's
Yeah.
completely honest, and I think that's what you like get in this album specifically, and that's something you just mentioned as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's you can hear the honesty in her voice in all these songs, and I think that's something some artists lack. So it's really cool that you can get that from her with this.
And she's obviously been really open and honest about her struggles with mental health and mental illnesses and things like that.
Hmm.
And obviously the overdose in 2018, which was really huge. So that's another really common theme on the album. One of the songs that really stood out to me about that was also ICU, because that talks about how when she woke up in the hospital and she couldn't see, and her
Yeah,
sister was next to
insane.
her, and she was just like, her sister was freaking out, saying, I can't believe she's going to lose her eyesight. And then obviously it comes back. So, like, that component of her with her sister was really interesting that she threw on there.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think when it happened a few years ago, we realized how much it would like physically affect her, you know? Like obviously it was this huge mental thing. She went to rehab, all that, but I don't think we realized the physical effects of the brain damage and the blind spots and all that. So the fact that she woke up legally blind is something we learned in the documentary, which is just crazy.
Yeah, and also I think she said Anyone was another one that kind of alluded to that overdose. Obviously,
Hmm.
Dancing with the Devil, which we mentioned are the three first songs in the album.
Yeah.
And then once she gets to the Art of Starting Over, the track, the album kind of takes that optimistic shift. So, what do you think that kind of shows? Like, we kind of touched upon it a little bit.
Yeah. I think the overdose was kind of like a wake up call for her in a sense. So she when she survived that, she was kind of like, okay, I need to get my life together. And so the artist starting over from that point forward in the album is her journey since then. And she has said like there were some dark moments along the way. It's not like she woke up and was like, I have a new life. Like I think 2019 was pretty dark too, but I think that you can tell that in the music too. It's kind of just been her journey since then,
Hmm.
with where she's at in her recovery and where she's at with, working on herself and things like that. So, and you can definitely hear that in the songs.
Yeah, what are some songs that you think kind of portray the album's message the best or like kind of show where she's
Mm,
at the best? I think Good Place is one. That's also the
Good
one she
places, and
closes
I
out
love that
with.
she ends with that. Yeah, I think that definitely encompasses where she is now. I
Hmm.
also think Melon Cake is a really important one because her eating disorder is such a big part of her journey, and for so many years she was stuck in it, and her old team would have her on a crazy diet and crazy workout schedule. And Melon Cake is literally about how she used to have watermelon cakes for her birthday, and now finally she has that freedom to kind of like keep the balance with herself and eat what she wants. And so I think that definitely is important too when it comes to where she is now.
Yeah, she's been really open about like the eating disorders too. Like Melon Cake was
Hmm.
one. I think The Way You Don't Look at Me also kind of referenced that
Yeah,
too.
for sure. That one, oh, that's one of my faves.
Do you have any other ones on there that stood out to you in particular?
I really love that one. And then Easy with Noah Cyrus.
Yeah,
I
that's a good
just,
one.
yeah, I just love a good ballad, especially when with Demi's voice on it, and then you throw in Noah Cyrus, and it just, wow, that's probably my favorite. And then also California Sober is one of my favorites too,
Hmm.
which I know that's like kind of a controversial topic. But it's just so good.
Yeah, because that one, I feel like that one also kind of portrays the message of the album really well.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
something else too, like you just mentioned, all these ballads that she kind of put on. I feel like
Hmm.
it's a shift from like the music she kind of came up on, like
Yeah.
that very like poppy, more
Hmm.
like overly produced music. What do you think? Like, why do you think she chose to go that route? Do you think it kind of helped her to put her experiences out there a little bit better and clearer?
Yeah, I think so. And I also think, like I had mentioned before, about how she was making music for other people. I think before with her old team and just maybe even an older label when she was like on Disney and stuff, I think it was very calculated, like what she put out, when she put it out, what's for radio, you know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
think now she's kind of just going in the direction of like, I just want to put out music for myself and for my fans. And personally, I love the route she took with this because, I mean, anyone can put out a pop song. She's done it for years, but to hear like the kind of like lower tempo stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the album I've always wanted from her, honestly.
Yeah, to me, it kind of sounded like an upbeat, more version of like a singer-songwriter album.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And one of
Yeah,
those songs like that really is like stuck in my head today too, and like I think fits that well was what was it? The Kind of Lover I Am. Like I think
hmm,
that one was really, really catchy and
yeah,
it reminds me of something that like Lauv would put out or
yeah,
like a
wow, for
Jeremy
sure.
Zucker, like those kinds of artists that are like more modern, you could say like singer-songwriters.
Exactly. Yeah, I think she has better luck with those kind of songs when it comes to like people not getting sick of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, though that's the kind of album I can like play on repeat. And of course, she still has the bops in there. She has the Sweetie song. She has the Ariana song. But yeah, I'm definitely glad she took a different route this time, especially because it's her seventh album. We've heard everything else from her.
Yeah, so it's kind of like she has to keep her fans and people guessing, put something
Right. Like her
different
sound
out.
is just evolving. It just sounds more mature too compared to what she's put out in the past.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I also like how um the kind of lover I am kind of talks about her sexuality, and that's something
Hmm.
she's been really open about. And she actually just came out as pansexual. So what do you think about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of not like hinted at it in the past, but like when she dropped Cool for the Summer, she was kind of like bi curious. She's like hinted at dating girls in the past and stuff like that. But I think now, since she was engaged to a man last year
Hmm.
and then they broke up, and I think she's kind of just been exploring her sexuality ever since. And also with her cutting her hair off, she's kind of like letting go of that femininity. So I think she's just kind of becoming into her own more than she ever was before, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely an album of discovery, you could say, and
Yeah,
like just
for sure.
recounting
That's the
like all
perfect
of
way
the
to put it.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and another topic, like we've touched on the substance abuse and overdose, the mental illness,
Hmm.
eating disorders, sexuality. There's so many good concepts.
Yeah,
But
it's
another
nuts.
one that she also gets into is different relationships she's had with men, either with
Hmm.
her dad when she was really young,
Yes.
or lack thereof, you could say, and with her ex fiance. And that was something you actually brought to my attention with one of the songs
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, the she kinda, like, put the song on almost every album when it, comes to her dad, and those are always, like, the most emotional ones because she's had a really bad relationship with him, but then he also passed away a few years ago, so I think that's something she was kinda still dealing with, but the one on this album, Butterfly, is it definitely shows the growth that she's come to terms with that in a better way than she ever has.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, like you said, the 15 minutes, that one is just it's kind of funny in a sense because everyone knows it's about him and they were engaged for like 5 seconds and then they broke up, and so she knew what she was doing with that for sure.
Yeah, it was very directed
Yeah,
like towards him.
exactly. Yeah. Oh god, that one's funny.
And then the aspect too with the song Butterfly, I also feel like the aspect of like metamorphosis, and we've kind of danced around
Yes.
that, is
Yeah.
also shown in the cover art for the
Mhm.
album.
Yeah, the butterfly is kinda like the aesthetic for the album in a sense. And I think that shows not only is it a song for her dad, but I think it shows where she is now too, because it's kind of like she's again coming into her own. So I love that. I think it's the perfect kind of like symbol for the album.
Yeah, I would say so too. And I love when like the album artwork and all of the songs with it just kind of fit into a theme
Yeah,
or a
yeah,
certain
it seems
aesthetic.
very cohesive.
Yeah, I love that. Like I love that when artists do that. I've been paying more and more attention to that recently, and
Yeah, for
I think you're
sure.
starting to see that more like be more common.
Yeah, for sure, which I love. I think it's just like creative too,
Yeah. Something else too I want to touch upon is the I guess you could say the amount but also lack thereof of guest stars she had. Like
Mm,
she had a good amount, like Met Him Last Night with Ariana Grande was good. And then What Other People Say with Sam Fisher, which actually he put out earlier this year, I think I
right.
remember. And Saweetie as well. So she only had a few guest appearances, but I also feel like she did that intentionally in a way
Yeah,
to like let her story be told mostly through her own eyes and through her own
exactly, right.
voice.
Yeah, I think she wanted to tell her story mainly from her perspective, both with the album and the documentary. And I think she definitely did that. I love a good feature, obviously, but I am glad that it's not like super feature heavy. And I think the people she chose is like the perfect fit.
Yeah, like just to go back to it again, Met Him Last Night with Ariana, like their harmonies were so good, and
So good.
that song itself is so like cinematic, and I think it's taking off on Spotify because when I listened to the album again, I saw on her profile it
Yeah.
was picking up a lot of streams.
Yeah, I think they're pushing it as a single now. So it'll hopefully get some
Yeah.
radio play soon.
I know, I was curious to ask you that too, because to me, like this album didn't really scream like one song that kind of stood out as a single.
Hmm.
Maybe What Other People Say, because that one was released previously, and I
Yep,
also think that one is a really good signifier of the message. But
for
yeah,
sure.
like, would you say Met Him Last Night is a song you could see being a single and getting airplay?
Yeah, for sure. I think they had originally planned on Dancing with the Devil as a single first, and I think that's what they've been doing the past few weeks, which I thought was a great idea because not only does it tell her story, but it's also a huge power ballad. And she's released pop songs throughout the past few years, but she's never really done a song like that as a single. So I thought that was a great idea and the perfect route to go. But now they're also pushing Met Him Last Night as the next single, and that's just like a more it's still like fits the message, but it's also just more fun, and obviously it has Ariana on it, so I do think that's the perfect single for sure.
It would be a good move, like, on their marketing team side of things.
Exactly.
Yeah, because Ariana's still riding pretty high from, like, the Positions album and things like
For
that.
sure, yeah, and them 2 together, I feel like it's a collaboration that people have always wanted. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Danae. I really appreciate you doing this and
Yeah,
reviewing
of
this
course,
album
thank
with
you so
me.
much for having me, and congrats again on the podcast, it's so exciting.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, everyone, you got
Yeah,
to
of
listen to
course.
Dancing with the Devil, The Art of Starting Over with Demi Lovato. It is one of those albums that you just the context is there. It's important. So go
Yeah.
check it out. Danae's had it on a week of repeat, as I mentioned. So
Not slowing down either.
not slowing down. It's definitely gonna be a huge album from her. I can feel it.
For sure.